Record of Ragnarok round 12 is here. We have Odin selecting himself to represent the gods and Brunhilde choosing Kintoki as a response. This battle is in fact very different to every other, so listen closely as I break down everything you need to know. So at the current minute in the story, humanity has 6 wins and the gods only have 5, meaning one more win and humanity is victorious in the Record of Ragnarok story. And as Nostradamus points out, with this, the gods are well and truly on the brink. One false move and it's all over. In other words, dear Odin's big plan is one step away from total failure. Now, with all of this in mind, Odin approaches Brunhilde absolutely crushing out, where we see that Brunhilde's goal isn't just saving humanity, saving Siegfried, but also to kill Odin, resulting in the Norse god to reveal the following. Siegfried's fate is to die and become the vessel for the revival of the primordial gods, and with this revival, Odin will be able to complete his initial plans from long ago, the destruction of absolutely everything. This includes Earth, Valhalla, and the underworld. He does not desire to be a supreme ruler of Valhalla. He wants to destroy absolutely everything, and a key step of doing this requires the destruction of humanity to get the water of life, meaning for Odin's overall plan to even properly work, humanity needs to be defeated in this tournament, explaining exactly why he is fighting in round 12 now, something initially that was a shock to many people, but with all of this in mind, I think it makes pretty big sense. It's just unfortunate for the likes of Anubis. However, it's also important to note this wasn't initially part of Odin's plans. He didn't exactly think he would need to fight. This includes Loki not being meant to lose, highlighting that Odin had faith in Loki winning no matter what, forcing his hand and requirements to fight in round 12, the battle between his madness and Brunhilde's desire, which brings us to why the Valkyrie has chosen Kintoki as the one to defeat Odin and potentially win the Ragnarok tournament right here. She says, "I've been waiting for this for as long as I can remember. It's finally here. I'm leaving it all to you. I decided it'd be you since the beginning. To defeat the supreme god of the Norse pantheon, it can only be you, Kintoki." This highlights that the entire reason Kintoki was put on humanity's roster was for the sake of fighting and defeating Odin, very similar to the likes of Simo for Loki and Jack the Ripper for Hercules. Some other fighters you can kinda make this argument, but these 3 have direct counter matchups potentially, or other reasons we'll get to. Now when it comes to the Golden Boy, I've seen a lot of people complaining about him being chosen to fight Odin, pointing once again to some random Japanese bias that every manga author supposedly has no matter what, even though literally the representation of Sumo, a Japanese fighter in the likes of Raiden, lost against Shiva within this tournament. The only Japanese god fighting in the tournament lost as well. Yes, it was against a Japanese human, but the point still stands. And if you're truly trying to be realistic and fair about Kintoki, we honestly barely know anything about him. He was introduced in chapter 65 after the Huang and Hades fight, set up as a close friend of Buddha, one of the most go-to characters in the entire series and most popular of course, where we also got the mention of Siegfried and Buddha requesting for Kintoki to look into him, exactly what he's been doing behind the scenes since his reveal. In a sense, directly going against Odin and messing with his overall plans, as he confirmed that Siegfried was in Tartarus, actually went to the underworld somehow as well, then of course was involved in stopping the group fight, where we had the iconic stare-off between him and Odin, some foreshadowing for this matchup potentially. But it's also important to note that Kintoki in this moment didn't actually know that was Odin, meaning his information on the gods probably isn't that high level, but it does make it somewhat strange as during the scene of him preparing to go out and face Odin, he claims that he's going to kill him, but also revealing that him and Odin have the same desire, something I believe in the very next chapter that will explain more reasons behind this matchup. Most of the fights in Ragnarok don't really make sense at an initial glance until it begins and we learn more about the characters, the themes of the battle. So people complaining about Odin and Kintoki not making sense, I think you need to give it a chance to actually begin before you say that, or we're just going to be continuing the trend of being wrong about many things in the story. So calm down for a second, but let's look at his design and of course weapon here. He has this huge battle axe, something that looks absolutely sick. I'm imagining it is indeed a divine weapon, and as we see Kintoki within this room, which is this one by the way, it's just chilling there on his log, with us getting a conversation between him and Buddha, his send off as he goes into battle. Kintoki highlights that he's not worried at all, having insane confidence regardless of Buddha making it clear that Odin is indeed strong, highlighted during the group battle where Odin had the confidence of taking out Buddha and Beelzebub at the same time. Therefore, Kintoki already has Mad Lad goated energy, but in regards to his weapon, throughout these chapters we don't see his Valkyrie, and some of the leakers have claimed themselves that Kintoki won't have a Valkyrie. I'd like to outline that this is just their predictions, it's not confirmed to any degree. If I had to place my bets, I will say he will have a Valkyrie. Yes, his design points to him potentially being a demigod, half demon or something along the lines of that. His official color scheme is this one on screen right now, and the side of his body is indeed orange with those other animalistic like features. This is paired with him somehow being close friends with Buddha. As another aspect expanded on in the most recent chapter, this is during their conversation about Kintoki going next to face Odin, where Buddha says, "Alright then, make sure you come back after, because we still don't have a winner for our 100th bout." Kintoki's response, "Yeah, I know. How about next is Sumo?" And Buddha agrees, highlighting that these two have friendly clashes in a sense, or various challenges where they've done 99 up to this point and likely their scores are similar, highlighting that it's possible when it comes to abilities and how strong each of them are, they're pretty much a similar range relative, at least potentially, and most likely will be required considering he's facing Odin, and having the ability to go through the realms with no problem at all, highlighting that bro is likely different. And then his axe, which I'm guessing is a divine weapon, will also play into that factor, with of course the big thing in front of us that Brunhilde revealed that Kintoki since the very start has been the one waiting and only one capable of defeating Odin, putting his stocks through the roof. Now, as someone who predicted the Nostradamus and Odin matchup many times, I'll say now, after reflecting on the turn of events, Odin vs Kintoki is likely going to be a banger fight, and since Nostradamus is a femboy, nobody really wants to see that technically, even the authors agree seemingly. So I'm placing my stocks in this fight being good, regardless of my lacking of caring around Kintoki. He does seem like a Giga Chad and somewhat similar to Buddha, so GOAT status is indeed coming. But when it comes to the Valkyries, we currently have Brunhilde, Gol, and the final unknown Valkyrie we haven't been introduced to yet. If I had to place my bets, I think it's going to be the unknown Valkyrie, but considering the prior setup and interaction between Brunhilde and Odin, it's possible that Brunhilde becomes Kintoki's Valkyrie and may not be related to his weapon. However, it would also be a possibility that he doesn't need one. I wouldn't exactly be that surprised, but I think he should have one considering he's facing Odin. It may help to a degree, let's say it like that. Now when it comes to the Norse god himself, we've seen him summon this divine weapon when clashing with Buddha and Beelzebub, but I don't believe this is his main one. He's probably going to start out the fight using it, but at some point it may get destroyed, resulting in Odin to strip down and unleash his divine or primordial god sword from the past, something he still has in the current day, and maybe enhanced more so by the remaining Yggdrasil treasures within his body here, what he's going to use for the sake of resurrecting the primordial gods with Siegfried, but these are also considered weapons for the other top primordial gods, in the sense they could be enhancements to his power, or for all we know, Odin is capable of using all of them, highlighting that this battle is definitely going to be one of the most insane, and why Kintoki may require a Valkyrie just to stand a chance with all of this insanity available to Odin. But the question everyone is wondering, naturally like always, who is going to win this round? My prediction, and I would imagine a majority of people's predictions in the entire Ragnarok fanbase, is that Odin is going to be the winner. It just makes too much sense. We still have Nostradamus, Rasputin and Anubis remaining on the official roster. If Kintoki was to win this, the Ragnarok tournament should be over, meaning those three won't and shouldn't fight. And to prolong the story even more and have even more insanity, Odin winning could result in that post-Ragnarok tournament war, him potentially fighting again or doing some other stuff in relation to Siegfried, or naturally the Apocalypse of the Gods plotline playing a part in the main story as well, giving that story more time to progress before we get the reveal of some other Egyptian gods when Anubis fights. But coming back to Odin, him winning but this fight being extreme difficulty is my current prediction. There's always the possibility of a draw, and if this fight was a draw and it leads into the 13th round, which is a requirement, let's say Anubis ends up winning that, then we could very well have one more fight added to be the final conclusion to ensure all of humanity's fighters get a chance. Something to consider. And since I'm currently not predicting a draw for this battle, the authors are going to do me dirty and make this one a draw after I've been predicting it since round 7. But my official statement has been made. Odin will be the winner in my opinion. And if you haven't already, check out the official partner of the channel, GamerSupps, with a 10% discount, link at the top of the description. Use code MWeeb.